Staying safe when buying gold and silver is imperative. As I've shared in a previous video, you can easily lose thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if you are a big spender. So how do you keep safe online? What are the things that you can do to protect yourself? Today we're going to run through some of my top hints, tips and tricks for staying safe and understanding the gold and silver markets to the best of your ability to make the right choices for you. Everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a very warm welcome to you all joining me for another precious metal ramble. Now today I want to talk about keeping safe when buying gold and silver. It's a subject that I've talked on before, but it's so important and I feel quite relevant, having shared the story of the gentleman who's facing nearly £250,000 loss, having dropped nearly £500,000 on a very questionable business. What can we do to keep ourselves safe? What can we learn from others' mistakes? And how can we best acquire our gold and silver? Lots to discuss today, from due diligence, research, understanding the markets of gold and silver as well. There's a lot to get through, and I do hope there's something for everybody. Even if you're a seasoned stacker, perhaps there's something in here that you might learn today. And it'd be great to hear from you down in the comment section as well as to your thoughts and opinions on keeping safe when buying online. Well, I say online, I was going to say when buying generally, but online is pretty much where we start today's video, because online retailing is the thing now. This is the world that we live in, and especially for gold and silver in the UK, it is the primary market. Like I'd say 99% of all gold and silver transactions happen online these days through dealers or through peer-to-peer networks. It's just not that common for us in the UK to have the local coin stores that you can go into. Now, in certain parts of the world, that is more common, and that's fine. It's possible still to be scammed or to be at least taken advantage of in those stores. So even if you're going in and you can really see that the thing that you're buying is real, and you can hold that silver bar in your hand and know that it's there, ask yourself, is it a good price? Is it still the right price for that particular item? You can still get scammed when you're in person. So what can we do as consumers to protect ourselves? The first thing that I want to talk about is just general due diligence and shopping around. So just because a particular retailer has a particular product at a particular price doesn't make them the best or the cheapest. There are a lot of options out there, shall we say, and I think there are even more than there used to be. This whole world of bullion dealership has exploded, and it's also coincided with the massive growth of social media within this industry as well. There are sponsors of various different YouTubers and channels everywhere, and that's fine. People get sponsored, I get sponsored too, but don't rely on the person that you're hearing from that XYZ dealer is the best and cheapest, because it might not be true. An example just from myself, even though I wasn't sponsored, the other day when buying some of the coronation coins, was that I used Atkinson's, but a lot of people in the comments pointed out that Chards or Shards, is it Chards? I think it's Chards, were cheaper than Atkinson's. Well, yes, they were, but for me, I got cash back on my card, which meant it was generally cheaper for me. So shopping around is really important, but be careful, because shopping around is dangerous. That's where you can find yourself falling down a rabbit hole. I don't understand people who decide that they were going to buy a gold coin, whether it's a sovereign or whether it's an ounce of gold, and they find a price that's £1 an ounce cheaper or £1 a sovereign cheaper from some random outfit, from random company online, and they go and put their money on it because they're saving £1. I don't get it. The risk reward needs to be addressed here. There are a lot of things that can go wrong in that situation, and it depends as well on how you pay for your items, but I don't understand why people go and try and save pennies on the dollar when they are making such big purchases. It does not make sense to me. So when you're looking around, when you're shopping around, you can certainly do a lot of research. Now this is where I want to jump in very quickly to my sponsor. It's not like our usual sponsors, so I do hope you'll have a look and a listen. Auronum is a really great resource for just understanding more about gold and silver and the various markets that we love so much. So a big thank you to today's sponsor, Auronum, who are a UK-based bullion dealer. They're also really active on the silver forum for both buying and selling on gold and silver, as we can see, bars and coins with a range of gold, platinum and silver. But I'm not here to just show you their website and tell you they're a dealer. They sell gold and silver. That's pretty much what most dealers do, and they are a very reputable one at that. But instead, they wanted me to focus on their research tab, because whilst we're in this video talking about doing your own due diligence and understanding markets, that is no easy thing to do. And one thing that Auronum has for free as standard is a really good weekly gold price news report. Now, often when you look at charts, and there are plenty of different commentators out there on what the charts mean and how to dissect them and understand them and where will mean silver will go or gold will go in the future, it can be very difficult just to have an easy to digest report. And these are actually really good. And Auronum have been creating them for the better part of 2 years now, on a weekly basis, and there are all of these historic reports going back, so you can really see some of the historic changes that have happened and some of the movements that we've been having in the various markets. So what do the reports actually look like? Well, it's a PDF, it's free, as I said. You can just literally go onto the website right now and download any of their back catalogue. You can also sign up for their newsletter, so if you pop your email in here, then it will of course just let you know when the new ones are out. So it's a fairly easy to digest and simple report, which is really helpful because there are so many really complex ones and so many soothsayers out there that pretend to know absolutely everything about where things will be. Just simple things like seeing what the ratio is right now. And if we go back to, let's go October 2021 and see what the ratio is there. Oh, well, there you go. It's pretty similar, 74.75. Let's perhaps have a look at like January. I bet you that's a bit different. There you go, 81.79. So you can kind of see at a glance where things are in terms of that ratio, where things are in terms of the various different markets, priced in different commodities as well. I like, so if we scroll back up on this page, we can see that the live ratio is there, and then the various different other ratios against barrels of oil and the FTSE 100 contracts, which I think is pretty neat. So it's really useful, really easy to digest, simple data, simple analysis. There's nothing in here which is really super kind of soothsay, silver and gold to the moon. It's very down to earth, very level headed, and I would certainly recommend it as a bit of light reading and have a looking at it for as many people as you want. So I think it's pretty cool. I like the fact that they've recommended me to focus on research tab here rather than just talking about what they sell and where they sell it. So a big thank you to Auronum. Go and check them out. There's a link in the description box below to their website, and a huge thank you to them for sponsoring our channel. Now back to the video. Now, doing that research, doing that market research on gold and silver is all very well, but do take it with a pinch of salt. This video isn't really about making sure that you're buying for the right reasons. If you've decided to buy your gold and silver, then buy your gold and silver. But that whole question of market and where it's going to go is something for another time. But if you're talking to a particular company, take this as an alarm bell. If that company suddenly starts telling you that in the next couple of weeks and months gold and silver is going to skyrocket, you need to get in now, have a bit of an urgency of an alarm about that. That might not be as true as you think it would be. So the other thing that we can do, and the gentleman who dropped nearly $500,000 on a particular company didn't research the company. So if you do find somewhere that's pretty cheap and pretty, looks great, fantastic, do some research on them. You might well never have heard of one of the biggest dealers out there. Doesn't stop the fact that you could do a bit of research on them. Just a quick Google search, have a look, see if they've been around for a long time, have a look if there are lots of reviews, take reviews with a pinch of salt, use some critical analysis and critical thinking on those. And also just generally do some research on the company. If you're in the United Kingdom, you can do really great in-depth looks at their company's house records. You can find information about their turnover. You can find company directors' information. It's really, really easy to do. And it's certainly something that this gentleman who dropped £500,000 might have not done so if he'd looked up that this supposed investment company that focuses on gold and silver collectibles had actually only turned over £100,000 in a year. That's nothing. That's literally nothing for a gold and silver company, especially if this gentleman's dropping £500,000 on them. So do your research on the individuals and the companies that you're buying from. Have a look at their past records. Have they got social media accounts? Have they got social media presence? Having a social media presence is a great business asset, but it also protects consumers, because if you've got something to lose as a business, i.e. your reputation, that's really important. If this is the first dealings you've ever had with a particular company and the first dealings they've ever had with anybody, the risk, in my opinion, is a lot higher. So a lot of important things that you can do to protect yourself from those potential fraudulent activities. Now, the last little section of this video I want to talk about is understanding what you're buying and the fact that prices will vary. All different silver and gold coins will have different prices attributed to them. Some are more collectible than others. Some are a little bit more premium than others because they're smaller, perhaps. If they're fractional items, like a fractional Britannia, that will be more expensive than a full 1 ounce Britannia. So it's important to understand what you're paying for, and sometimes that's a little bit lost in translation for some people. They just get blinkered and they go and buy because they think it's the right thing to buy. For me, I think that things like sovereigns are great, but for other people that might not be the case. So always have a little look at what you're buying and whether or not it fits your own expectation of what things should be. Have a think about what premiums you should be buying over spot price. Get used to the fact that you can buy gold from a dealer for 3 or 4% over spot price, perhaps a little bit less depending on the type and where you're buying it from. If you're buying on the second-hand market, you can buy for less than that, but be aware that the second-hand market comes with its own risks. If you're buying from Joe Blogs on social media, again, ask yourself the question, treat them like a business. Ask yourself, have they got exposure? Have they got reputation? Have they done things like this before? What's the risk in it for you? There are so many different questions that you can ask yourself before you pull the trigger. So I hope that has all been of interest to you all and has shared some insights as to the best ways to keep safe when buying. I really do think it's the responsibility of the buyer more so than the seller. That said, there are really unscrupulous sellers out there that will do quite bad things, quite almost illegal things in terms of pressure selling and that kind of thing. Very difficult to prove though, so don't rely on being calling the victim card. That's what I wanted to say. If something doesn't seem right, if something seems too good to be true, it probably is. That's another great mantra to live by. So definitely worth just taking a step back and asking yourself, like these people who will save £1 an ounce buying an ounce of gold, just ask yourself, is it worth saving £1 an ounce to risk £1,500 on your purchase? The answer to me is definitely probably not. So there we go. There are my thoughts and opinions on this particular subject. I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section, especially my backyard bullion ramblers. So please feel free to comment with those thoughts and opinions down below. And we'll see you on the next video. Thank you all for watching. And as always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.